So I'm going to start off by going through the frequently made mistakes that I observed when I reviewed programming assignment 1B solutions last night. And most of the solutions were really good. As you know, this wasn't really a very hard assignment because it was just adding parallel streams to sequential streams, and that's pretty straightforward by design. But let's talk about some of the things I observed that I'd like people to make sure they fix. So please make sure you document your code thoroughly. Each aggregate operation should have a comment. I strongly recommend putting the comment above the operation, because otherwise, if you put it at the end of the operation, it tends to run off the side of the screen, and it's hard to read. So please try to do that. Secondly, please make sure you format your code consistently. In particular, put each aggregate operation on its own line, starting with the dot. So for example, don't do stuff like this, stream of, but instead do stuff like that. And the reason for that, of course, is then you can add a comment there. And so it's all consistent and nicely formatted, and it all looks the same. So if you look at the examples that I've been going over in class, you'll see that I always do that when I write the code. So please follow something similar. Also, please do not delete the to-do tags. That's how I am able to go through your code at a rapid clip and provide you feedback. If you start deleting those things, then it makes it harder to find where your solutions are supposed to be added. So please don't delete the tags. All right, so let's take a look at some issues. Some of these things were left over from last time. I get the feeling some people may have joined the class late, and so they didn't get feedback on their initial solution. Almost everybody did things based on my earlier comments, so thank you very much. But first of all, please format the code consistently. Please comment the code consistently. Every method or every operation should have a comment, ideally above it. And then please get in the habit of using method references here rather than lambda expressions. And this turns out to be remarkably easy to do because your IDE or IntelliJ or Android Studio IDE will automatically make that transformation for you. You just have to hover your mouse over there, and a little thing will pop up, and you say, yes, convert the lambda expression to a method reference, and boom, it'll do it for you. And you don't even have to think much about it. You just have to remember to do it. OK, another thing, please don't write super long lines of code. If you ever see your code looking like this and wrapping around the screen, that's a good sign that it's too long. Try to keep your code so it fits within the lines, typically 80-ish, with the emphasis on ish, 80-ish spaces. And this type of thing could be formatted much more sensibly with this kind of a look, like that. That's a nice way to format the question mark colon operator, or the so-called ternary operator. So please make sure that you don't write super long lines of code. And there's a couple other places, but this was the place that most people who didn't format their code right were getting it out of whack. And then down here in process image, once again, please get in the habit of using method references rather than lambda expressions. Once again, easy to change automatically. And then final thing, please get in the habit of not using local variables, but instead returning the results of the entire stream. But you can simply cast the results if you'd like. So you just return it like this. You could simply say something along the lines of return int blah, 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 and then get rid of this stuff. So that's what it should look like instead of having these local variables. The local variables don't really provide any additional insight and, in some sense, make it harder to read the code once you're accustomed to the fluent interface programming style. So that's the end of the walkthrough of the frequently made mistakes. As you can see, I think everybody had their code for it was more or less correct in terms of the functionality. But these are things just to make it more stylistically consistent with the way that modern Java is programmed.